Hey everyone, welcome. So today I want to talk about a few things. One being the worst pricing advice I have ever heard. Well, ever may be a strong statement, but there's some pricing advice out there that's not so good. And I see these on these channels, and I'm not going to name names because they're good people. And they're people who struggle just like all of us when it comes to pricing, but they're giving bad advice. They're well known for gear or posing techniques or all this other stuff. And once in a while, they throw out a little business advice, and it's not that good. It really is not that good, to be quite honest. And so it concerns me when those folks share. And here's one of the reasons why I started this channel is because I'd watch a lot of these videos, and they do a video, and they're very sincere. And some advice is good from experience, and some's really bad. But they always say, you know, this is one of the biggest questions I get. And I'm thinking, one of the biggest questions they get. Well, why doesn't somebody have like a channel on this? Well, here we go. So that's why I did this. I've also made another decision. And I'll talk a little bit more about it in a few minutes, but I've decided to make this channel live stream only. So those of you who watch it on replay, that's great. But this is the way I'm going to record for this channel specifically. Because as you know, I have certain styles that I work with. If you're over on my main channel, my marketing channel, my marketing strategies channel, I do some stuff here, what I call the strategy chair, and I do some stuff downstairs. I do all different types of videos, but now I'm just going to do live to answer questions here, and probably 2-3 times a week as I've been doing. And so I think that's going to be better. I don't have to worry about production. I don't have to worry. I just do what this channel is all about, and that is answering your questions. And again, I can answer the questions for those of you who catch me on the replay. So the worst photography pricing advice. And, you know, one of the things that I heard somebody say recently is you can start low and increase your prices later. You can. However, that is a tough way to go. Price low for what? Compared to what? So let's just work our way through this. So if you start out pricing low, well, what are you basing that low price off of? Your cost of doing business. So you mean low price lower than my cost of doing business, and so I'm going to lose money every time I do a job. And here's the thing: when people start pegging you as the low price photographer, it's hard to raise prices. Now, another piece of advice is go right smack dab in the middle. Yes, you know, in a way, there's some elements to that. So you're not the super high and you're not the super low end, but here's a bit of a marketing side advice related to that. And that is that now you're just in the middle of the pack. There's nothing special about you per se when it comes to that area. I mean, unless you have a specific skill, you're doing a type of wedding photography or food photography, something totally different, and you're in the middle of the pack, yeah, wow, great photography, and it's, you know, evenly priced, awesome. But you got to have that. Otherwise, you're just looked at as average. The way I would do it is look at the top and the bottom and try to figure out where's about 80%, especially if I'm just getting into a new market. Where's that 80%? So let's just sake of argument, the top day rate in your town is $1,000 and the average is $500. I would start shooting at about 800. That's where I would be. In other words, I'm going to be known as one of the more expensive photographers. I may not get as much work, but I'm going to get enough work because there is a threshold in there. People are paying that higher end. You don't get, you don't, maybe you may lose a couple more jobs, but you're going to have more money at the end of the month because the jobs you did get, you were well paid. So versus saying, hey, I'm going to do it for $200, you know, and get 3 times the number of jobs. Yeah, but now, okay, you made 600, worked 3 times as hard. I worked one day and made 800. You got to think about those kinds of things. So that's the type of advice I see given. And you really do need to stand out. And pricing is one of those ways in which you can stand out, but it doesn't have to be because you're a low price or even the high price. My system, per image pricing, that has been actually, I've used that as a marketing technique for many, many years. Okay. Another piece of poor advice that I have seen is to base your price on experience. How much experience have you had? That's how you can base your price. And that's completely wrong. We base it off of, one, our cost of doing business. You'll hear that over and over again. And from there, yes, when you're early in the game, just kind of like talking about earlier, that when you start off, you should be the low price and work your way up. Like I said, it's hard to increase your price once you're pegged in a certain area. So I don't recommend that. But experience, there are some people who get into photography in the first year and are charging huge rates and are paid for it. And why is that? Because it's what you asked for. Quite often, people get the jobs, the experience, and the opportunities that they ask for. And if you're asking for the opportunity to photograph for $5,000, $10,000 a day, you're going to get turned down, but you keep going after it, and eventually you're going to get one. And then the people who pay photographers $5,000, $10,000 a day are going to refer you to other people who pay photographers $5,000, $10,000 a day, because you're now at that level. If you're going to start off at $500 a day, it's going to take you a long time to get there, and you very well may never get there, to be quite honest, because you don't have the confidence, and it doesn't matter how much experience you have. One thing that I know, and this is what I've often said to people, they say, okay, when you're young, you don't have enough experience. Then you get older, you get the experience, and what do they tell you? Well, they want some new, young, fresh blood. So there is never the right time. There's never the perfect, get in there, figure out your cost of doing business, and charge the rate you feel you should that's worked within your marketplace. Okay, what's the other horrible pricing advice that I see out there? Let's see, based on your time. Yes. So you should base your photography rate on your time, hourly rates, day rates, things like that. And if you photograph events, I get that, and I give that one a pass, because events, you're trapped there. You just got to shoot and be there. You can't leave early because you did such a great job or were highly productive. You're still stuck for that period of time. Now, you should charge a reasonable amount for the time that you're forced to be there, but hourly, the photography, I fully believe photography should charge based on the photograph and the value of that photograph, not how much time you are setting aside to take the photograph. Photograph could be 60th of a second, 1/25th of a second, 1,000th of a second. I mean, that's how long it can take to create the image that the client wants. So it's not a time-based thing. Photography in your time is part of the calculation. That is how you figure out part of the calculation of how much you should charge. But there's also the use of the image. There's also, the value of how you photograph. I disagree. When you base, we have a statement here. All right, I disagree. When you base it on the photo, you miss the opportunity to make more money. You lose leverage in ways of max. Absolutely disagree. Yeah, we're going to have to disagree with that, because when you base the photo on time, here, let me give you an example. Here's the example I like to use. So let's say a company wants to take you to take photographs, 10 photographs for their website. And you say, okay, $1,500 for the day rate and $500 for the expenses. Great. Now, let's say you get done at 1 o'clock. What do they want? You want we want a discount. Well, because you didn't spend all the time. You should quote time per photo pass through. Oh, okay. Well, okay. He's saying, I'll go through because this will be helpful for everyone. Do you get paid for your time and editing? I include my editing with my per image price. So let me go through you break some good points. And there's some people like Pascal Depoule who would agree with you. Pascal Depoule likes to have a combination of a day rate and per image rates. There's more than one way to go about it. But to finish up that example, so if you end up, if these say 10 and you're doing a really good job, or you're getting done like early in the day, it's like, hey, okay, we have more time to take more photographs. And you have that $1,500 day rate, and you get 15 photographs done. You're paid the same amount unless you have something else in that agreement, which it sounds like you have more opportunity to make more money, which is good. I agree with that. But a lot of times people just charge the $1,500 and give them the additional images. And I think that's what I'm railing against, versus saying to them, first of all, they're like $1,500 a day. I don't make $1,500 a day. But if I said to them, okay, $200 per image for those 10 images. Now, if they come back to you and you're getting near done at 2 o'clock, one, they're not going to want a discount if you stop. But two, if they want to create more images, say that you do create 5 more images. Now it's based on the per image versus your time. And so you would make $3,000 versus $2,000. And that's why I do the per image. There's nothing wrong with doing a combination thereof. Like I said, Pascal, we have a video on this, and it's one of our bigger videos because he makes some great points. Everybody has their own way of going about it. But here's some good questions. But when you do, if there's a creative change in the middle of the project, well, that's a fair statement. And in some situations, and it depends on the production and the level of production, but you can always say, now I'll tell you what I do, and I don't recommend everybody do exactly what I do, but you can always say, look, if you ask me to take 10 photographs, I can require you purchase 5 no matter what, or there's a minimum for that day. And things do happen, but I go in as, look, there are so many photographers out there. I just say I'm the low risk photographer. Unless I have some fixed expenses, like I have models or something like that, or a stylist, I got to pay the stylist. Doesn't matter. That's being paid, and that will be a line item out. Something like that are generally line itemed out. And so the client does have to pay that. But if they don't like any of my photographs, personally, they do not pay. It rarely works. Maybe once every 2 years. But the thing is, because I take on that risk, one, it's easier to hire me. And two, generally they don't want just 10 photographs. I do a good enough job. I have the confidence in what I do. They end up buying 12, 15, 20 images. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had people ask for 10 in the original agreement and bought 40. And so I make more money because it's a per image. And yes, I can, sometimes say, wow, this is a huge price. Well, then, I'll package it down. I'll give them a lower price for volume. So instead of it being $44,000, it may end up being $3,200 or something, but still ahead of the game. Many ways to go about this. So Rex, thank you so much. Those are some great questions. And anyone who's watching this, these are common questions that I receive, and there are even more. There are a lot of objections that people have had for per image pricing and different types of pricing techniques and reasons why certain people do certain things. And it's good to challenge and have this conversation, even debate. I mean, I have no problem with people saying you're completely full of it. All I can offer you is my 30 years of experience of what has worked for me and what has not. And I worked just about every type of photography at one time during my career, at all different levels, high level agencies all the way down to mom and pops, to years ago doing weddings, to portraits and seniors. And I mostly do commercial now. So there's certainly bias in my conversation related to commercial types of photography. But hey, Rex, if you have a combination that's working for you and you are not losing out when you do a great job, and you're not losing out, you're being paid more, I don't care what your system is. You're covering yourself. You're being rewarded for your work. I'm on board. There are many ways to go about it. If you're undercutting yourself and not being able, and I'm not suggesting you, I'm just saying any photographer, undercutting themselves and not covering their costs of doing business. And, again, basing it all on time, there are so many things that can go wrong as far as I'm concerned based on the time. And that's not scalable. And that's where I go with that. Any kind of freelance that you base it off of time, it's not scalable. You're stuck with just you and your time. And sometimes it seems logical, but in terms of scalability, making more money for your high productivity and good quality work, tough way to go. All right, good stuff. Thank you again for those questions. I appreciate it. So yeah, this is what I'm doing in the future. I'm just going live, and I'll have a list of things that I'll talk about, observations, a topic of the day, and hopefully more people come in. Obviously, many people come in afterwards with the replay, but if you want to catch me when I go live, hit the bell icon and you'll be notified when I go live. Definitely Monday, Wednesday, Friday is kind of the range I'm looking at, but nothing is for sure because, as you guys know, the client calls, you go, right? Absolutely. All right. Good conversation. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next. Yes, it'll be Monday. I will be here. Talk to you then.